Hey, I'm just giving up on the background bookshelf for now because the lighting is insane here. It's either super dark or then the sun like blasts out and I'm squinting and just like kind of half of my body is pale white and it's crazy. I'm just gonna do this kind of dirty looking wall for now. But yeah, I want to talk about this particular book that I haven't read yet, but that I want to, called Weasels in the Attic. And basically, my experience with this book so far has been really weird. So I thought I would just mention it in a video before talking about some of the stuff I'm reading. It began in Dublin, where I started seeing this cover. I saw it once or twice in a bookshop, and it really caught my attention. I'll put it here. And for the book Weasels in the Attic, I just loved the cover. It just like really grabbed me, and I looked at it and I saw the writer was Hiroko Oyamada. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Hiroko Oyamada. And I'd heard about her when she won the Akutagawa Prize a few years ago for this book called The Hole. And I remember hearing, and some people on BookTube talked about it, and it was apparently like kind of dark and surreal, and someone just falls in a hole, and it's a novella by a new woman writer from Japan. So it just sounded interesting, but not that interesting that was like near the top of my to read list or something. But the cover of Weasels in the Attic really caught my attention, so I thought, oh, that's cute. But then I didn't want to buy it, but the image just stuck in my head so much. And here in Canada, for some reason, when it was coming towards Christmas time, that image kept coming back. And I thought, I just want that book. I want that weasel in my home. Every time I look at that cute cover, which is sort of sinister as well, I feel kind of happy. So it would be nice to actually own that. And I usually buy myself at least one book for Christmas. So I thought that'll be it. Even though the book that I was really kind of thinking I would get definitely in 2023 was Mieko Kanai's book. What was it called? Vertigo. Mild Vertigo was the one that I was really looking forward to and thinking I'm definitely going to buy this book. But in the end, the thing that I wanted was the Weasel one. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to order it. But first of all, I checked in the library and I found it here in Vancouver Library, or no, in the local library, yeah, Surrey Library. And I'll put a picture of the cover. This is the North American edition. It's like a goldfish in a balloon, if I remember right. And it's just, I don't know, maybe there's also fish in the book as well as weasels, or maybe it's somehow connected to it. But I don't know, I guess it's meant to be kind of arty or abstract, but it doesn't work for me. I don't like the cover at all. So I thought, yeah, if the cover is the main reason I'm buying it and getting it, then I'm not going to go for this one. I want to get the British cover. Which is the cute weasel. Then I found that there's actually two versions of the British one. The paperback and the hardback covers designs are different. I'll put them both on the screen here so you can see. And I was really torn, especially because the hardback was on offer, so it was a bit cheaper at the time than the paperback one. I don't remember which is which. I'll put like the hardback at the top and the paperback at the bottom. So they're very similar, but I really didn't know which one I wanted to get. Normally I'm more of a paperback person, but yeah, in this case, the whole point is the design. So I wasn't sure which weasel was the weasel for me. I don't know, like I'd be interested to hear what you guys think as well, comparing these two designs and then the North American design with the fish in the balloon, like which is your favorite? Let me know in the comments, we can debate. But for these ones, I decided I did like the paws. I talked to my partner about it, and we both agreed that the paws are very cute, and we wanted the one with the paws. But the thing that was holding me back was the little quotes above the eyes, right? Like one says awesome and one says excellent, and I just didn't want awesome and excellent and Claudia Winkleman and Patti Smith, their names like on the cover. I don't like those like blurby covers. It's just like I felt it was intruding with the weasel, and so I was gonna go for the hardback, but then my partner convinced me that actually the quotes are cute because they look like eyebrows. They look like little flat eyebrows, which changes the expression of the weasel and makes it kind of like a little bit, sort of consternation thing going on there. And then I was like, once I saw it like that, I was like, okay, that's the weasel for me. And by this point, also the offer had changed anyway, so the hardback was more expensive. So I went for the paperback and I ordered it, and I thought it won't arrive in time for Christmas. Maybe it'll arrive like a few days after, so I can enjoy it in that kind of weird lull area between December 25th and January 1st, where nothing seems to be happening and time isn't really moving properly. That's when I'll read my weasel book in the Christmas lull. That's what I was excited for. It didn't come though, right? It didn't arrive until January, like kind of late January it arrived. Here it is. But as you can see, there's a little tear there at the top, and more importantly, I don't know if you can see, it's quite filthy. I'm hoping that's coming out on the camera, but the back of it looks like it got stained or something like that, or maybe it got wet and then the ink ran. I don't know, but it is just quite a dirty book, and the pages are also like this, like kind of like it's been used and read a few times, and I think it just got wet. Honestly, it feels like it got wet somewhere in transport, or else maybe like in their where they keep it before they sent it out. But for whatever reason, it's arrived in not good condition. And like, I'm a fussy person. I'm a fussy reader. I care about little details like that. But especially, I feel in this case, like the reason I wanted it was the cover, right? Like, I'm buying the book for the cover. So if the cover isn't nice and like in new condition, also I'm not buying it like secondhand, right? I'm buying it from Blackwell's in the UK. So it's like, one of the big bookshop companies. Like, this is why I mean, look at that. That's just really, it's just gross, right? So yeah, in another circumstance, I might accept it. But in this case, I wanted the full thing. I emailed them. They emailed back quickly and apologized and offered to give me a refund, like half the price of it. And I said no, because like the reason I wanted it was for the cover. So could you please just ship me one in good condition? I thought I might have to ship this back or something, but they didn't. They just said, yeah, sure, we'll ship you a new one. And they did. And it arrived a few days ago. And here it is. So another weasel. And as you can see on the back, it's not quite as bad, but it is also pretty dirty, and like, stained. And it's just like not in good quality, right? It's not like a new, what you'd expect from a new book. And so they must have just had a batch of these weasels that all got kind of stained and stuff. The funny thing is that I didn't mention what the story's about. It's like 3 episodes of like, I mean, I just read the blurb at one point. I don't even remember it, but I think it's like 2 people meet. I'm not sure, like maybe for dinner or something, but 2 old friends, I think, are meeting and talking about a weasel infestation. And they meet at different points, like over 3 years or something like that, maybe once a year. And this novella, which as you can see is very small, covers their meetings, and each meeting is like kind of weird and dark and freaky, and like the kind of adjectives I heard associated with the whole, right? But the thing that's funny for me is just that it's like a weasel infestation, which is kind of uncanny. And especially when I had the library book, I've just been accumulating these weasels, right? Like there was this one, and then there was the fish. I've returned the fish now, so I just have the 2 weasels. And I've emailed Blackwell's again. And yeah, maybe I'm just an annoying weasel customer at this point, but I really want a nice pristine copy of this book, and I can only get it from an English bookstore. So I've asked. I haven't heard back from them, but I'm hoping they send me a 3rd weasel, and then I'm gonna end up just with a bunch of these things running around the house. I mean, like, I've got space, so it's not terrible, but like I did originally plan to read it at Christmas, and now it's the beginning of March. I'm not even in that moment where I was really excited to read the book anymore, right? So I'm not even like kind of really psyched for it. It just feels like I'm accumulating these weasels in my home. Yeah, I don't know. I hope I eventually read the book. When I do, I'll let you guys know about it. In the meantime, things that I am reading include the audiobooks for The City and the City by China Mieville, which is a science fiction about where everything is like world building in this book. It's a murder mystery that takes place between 2 cities, and the whole kind of thing is the setting where one city is basically built on top of the other city. So there's 2 cities occupying the same geographical space, but sort of like the inhabitants of each one belong to different, there's like nation states, I suppose. So the way that they exist is by ignoring the presence of the things that belong to the other one, and they have a system of like colors and fashions which let you know that these are the things that aren't in your city. So it's actually one physical space but existing as 2 political entities enmeshed. And the murder mystery is a problem because, like, I think they quickly realize that the murderer has done something sneaky, commit the murder in one city and dump the body in the other or something, which is going to make the unraveling of the case very difficult for the detectives. I don't know, I'm not really into detective fiction or kind of crime. It's crime scene investigation stuff. It's not really like my jam. I mean, it doesn't really do much for me normally, but I'll read anything that's good. And like, this is a book that I've wanted to read for ages, since I was 19, I think, maybe 20. This has been one of those books that I really want to get to, so it's happening now anyways. The other audiobook is Paper Airplanes by Simon Armitage. It's poetry. It's like his selected poems. And yeah, some of them I know, most of them I don't. It's like any big collection of poems. It's things you like and things that are like, no, I don't know. But like overall is really good, and I found some nice new poems through it. And it's nice just listening to poetry, like walking to work and stuff like that. Physical books, I'm reading Flowers in Salt, which is a history book. I haven't read a history book in ages, like properly, like cover to cover, and I decided to read it. It's about Meiji feminism in the Meiji period in Japan, which is 1868 until I don't remember, early 1900s, maybe 1905 or something like that. I don't remember. Anyway, yeah, and like kind of the beginnings of basically feminism in Japan, like feminism as a movement, as like kind of women coming together, as a like kind of seeing themselves as a collective group that like need rights and stuff like that, like how that happened. And obviously it's still happening today, but like how that started in Japan. Really fascinating stuff. I know a little bit about the next period, like Taisho period feminism. I really like it, but I don't know anything about Meiji period, and like obviously that's where it begins, so it's the base for what comes later. So I kind of felt it's a gap that I would like to understand and know about what was going on there, so that I can really appreciate the period that I'm into, the Taisho period. Like I can appreciate it more knowing the kind of the base for the ideas and stuff that flourish afterwards. The other thing that I'm like kind of working my way through, which I started at the beginning of this year, but I haven't mentioned on the channel yet, is the Thebaid or Thebaid. I don't know how to say it. Thebaid. Let's say Thebaid. Sounds like I have a lisp now. But yeah, 7 Against Thebes, it says as the subtitle. This is a terrible cover. It's just a picture of a door, I think. It's like, I think it's meant to be a lock on a door, because the story is the story of the war it's called the War of the 7 Against Thebes. 7 heroes in Greek mythology who like led armies against the city of Thebes, and the legend was that 7 heroes will open the 7 gates of the city walls. So that's the gate, and it's locked. It doesn't go well for them, but yeah, I know the myth, I know the characters. It's one of like the characters around this myth are some of the characters I'm most intrigued in and invested in Greek mythology, and yet most of their stories I've only read through Wikipedia articles. So this is the first time I'm reading like kind of I guess source material. This is written by a Roman called Statius, Publius Papinius Statius, but obviously he's not Greek, and he's writing his own version of the Greek mythology which came before, but his version was super influential in the Middle Ages. People like Shakespeare had to read it all, and like a lot of like it's not so famous or influential now compared to stuff like Homer and Virgil or whatever. But I don't know, I saw this in the library, I saw it on the shelf, and I thought, this is about Thebes. I'm really into Thebes. I'm really into this mythology cycle. It's an epic poem, and I haven't read an epic poem in ages, so why not? And I was pleasantly surprised. It was really, really gripping and exciting. Got a sort of hectic, nervous, like horrified kind of energy to it, which is really different from the Iliad. But even though the Iliad, both this and the Iliad are talking about war and Greek mythological heroes at war with each other, the Iliad is kind of beautiful, and this is kind of, I don't know, it's got a sort of cynical, like unhappy feeling throughout it, and yet it's poetry, so it's nice to read aloud and stuff like that. The translation is great. I'm really enjoying it. It's translated by someone called Charles Stanley Ross. I always feel weird about saying the translation is great for something that I don't know the original language in, because obviously I don't know if he's translated it well. I just know that it reads well, and I kind of feel transported to like the poetry of Rome, if that makes sense, while at the same time feeling like this reads really nicely in English. So that's for me what I would call a good translation without being able to compare to the original language. Then I'm nearly finished with Territory of Light by Yuko Tsushima. I read every chapter a month for 1 year, starting in April. That's what I've been doing, and now it's March, so I'm on the last chapter. I just finished the one before, and now I think I'm gonna finish at the beginning of the month, because there's only a few pages left, so I'm ready to just put this away. But it kind of feels like the end of a huge, this feels like an epic poem to me. It feels like I've reached the end of an epic journey because it's been 1 year that I've been reading this book. You can see it's not very long, but every chapter is just like been this little injection of beautiful literature that I've had once a month. So I'm honestly a bit sad that this is the last of that monthly fix that I'm going to have. But the way to combat that is moving on to the next Yuko Tsushima book that I have on my list. Another rare book that I actually own, Woman Running in the Mountains. It says introduction by Lauren Groff. I was going to say translated by. It's not translated by. It's translated by Geraldine Harcourt, who also did the translation for Territory of Light. So that's exciting and good. Lauren Groff wrote this book, Matrix. She's written a few things. She's pretty popular on BookTube. But yeah, I tried to read Matrix and I read like half of it and I just didn't like it and I gave up on it. But so I'm kind of interested in seeing her introduction, but I'm going to read the book first. And I started the book today. This morning I read the first chapter, and I don't know if I'm going to do the same like one chapter a month thing here, because I don't know how if that would fit with this book. It fits with Territory of Light because of the way that it's written and the way that it was published. It was also published one chapter a month, so like, you know, in a serialization. But this I don't think was, so I'll probably read this a bit more like a normal person would read a normal book. Let me know if you think I'm being outrageously picky when it comes to these weasel books, or if you would do the same, or if you would go even further and like demand more from Blackwells, like more weasels. I don't know. But yeah, maybe I'm thinking maybe just go back to Europe and buy it like off a shelf when in Dublin. We'll see. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.